Hello and welcome to the Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. We took a week's break because there's not much out at the moment.
No, there's plenty to watch, but it's actually finding something that's worth talking about, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, movies. There's not a lot of new stuff coming out, and what is obviously lower budget stuff, which isn't a problem, but it's not the kind of stuff we tend to talk about on the show as much. And of course, the movie news has pretty much dried up as well because there's really not much going on.
There's a few interesting things I think we'll bring up later on actually today, which at least is something we can discuss.
Yeah, I know we've got Star Trek Strange New Worlds we can talk about. There's a few things, but whenever I go on these news sites now, it's mostly them writing their own articles about stuff like, what if, Captain America did this in Avengers instead of that? And it's like, I don't care, guys. I know you're desperate for clicks, but come on.
I mean, there was an article, I sat and read it, and it was somebody explaining why the new Star Wars trilogy is their favourite.
Right.
Like, really? Have you seen any of the others at all?
I mean, you're welcome to your opinion on that. I guess.
Wrong,
it is your right to be wrong. I support your right to be wrong.
Yeah, I completely support your right to be a fuck up.
I'd like to. I mean, the thing is, I guess that might be clickbaity. I'd be interested in reading it just to see what his or her reasons are. Like how, in what way.
It's interesting what they say, but I don't think it holds up.
Right.
It's on the Empire site if you want to.
Oh, it's on Empire, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting article.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds it. I may give that a read after this show. So how have you been?
I've been not too bad at all. And, same old, Yeah. 4 walls and all that.
Did you manage to watch any films this week? Anything take your fancy?
After you said what you'd just seen, I thought, well, I'll tell you what. Even though I despise the man at the moment, I'll watch that anyway.
Well, should we start with that? Because I'm really curious what you made of it.
Yeah, let's start with that, shall we?
So, Knives Out from 2020, directed by Rian Johnson, Star Wars killer Rian Johnson, starring Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, and Jamie Lee Curtis. It is an all-star cast.
Yeah, you got Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Christopher Plummer. It's just Ricky Lindholm. It's just, and I was so like delighted when the lawyer turned up and it was Frank Oz.
Yes, it was a superb choice.
Frank Oz! Like, Jesus Christ, Frank Oz is still alive.
Yeah, he's still around.
And still looks like he's, fitting, full faculties and everything.
Yeah. What did you think? Because I made no secret to you of how impressed I was with this film. I'm really curious. What did you make of it?
Honestly, I really liked it. I kind of didn't want to.
Same, right?
I kind of wanted to hate it. I wanted it to be, but the thing is that I've liked pretty much all of Rian Johnson's other stuff.
Yeah, I think this is probably
Brick. I think Brick, which was his first movie.
I think so.
Was so good. I absolutely loved that film. And I know Looper has its faults and stuff. It's not a bad movie. I still enjoyed it.
I think Looper's a great movie if you're just willing to go with it and not think it through. I think when you start considering, that it falls in on it collapses in on its own logic very early on in that movie. Like how did this man drive to this location in a car when he has no hands and no arms and no legs? There's that scene where they're torturing that guy in the past, and it's a great visual because like he loses his nose and he's losing his fingers and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, it's a great visual. But the moment you stop to think about it, you're like, well, how did he drive? Because this happened in the past. Somehow he's got in a car and driven here with no limbs. It just doesn't work. But I did enjoy Looper. I think Brick's superb, but I would say obviously, you know my feelings. We both know each other's feelings on Star Wars: The
Yeah,
Last Jedi. I think that Knives Out is probably his best written material, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't. The thing is, I've got such a love for Brick that I think for me, Brick's slightly better, but that's only because I think it was such a nice sort of, like debut movie. I think it's sort of I maybe it's just more that I have a bit more nostalgia effect with going on there, but yeah, I mean it's just a bloody good film, really, isn't it? It's a nice setup. Everybody's like doing their bloody best, and it's just annoyingly good.
Annoyingly good, I think sums it up quite nicely. So it centers around a wealthy crime novelist who invites his family to his mansion for his birthday, doesn't he? And then the next morning they find him dead. And what surprised me with this is that unlike a lot of mystery, because it's like a whodunit basically, and I'm really glad that whodunits have come back to film. You
don't get as many whodunits these days. I think the last one was the Murder on the Orient Express was the last one.
Yeah, and they did Clue as well, didn't they? Though I've not seen Clue.
Have they actually remade Clue? Have they?
Apparently so. I've not seen it, but I know it exists. It's out there somewhere. But I love a good mystery, and this film I think did really well in that it gives you a surprising amount of information immediately, and you're kind of like, okay, I kind of know what happened already. And then as things go through and as time goes on, you start doubting yourself. Oh, wait a minute, no, actually there's this and there's that, and all of those layers slowly become apparent throughout the movie. I thought it was incredibly well written and really, really well paced.
I love the little things that the visual things he does as well with the when they're doing the initial interviews, and whoever it is that is speaking, like be it Don Johnson or Michael Shannon, whenever they talk about their particular members of the family and that how close they are to the old man, and you get these like little shots of them, squished in with the old man against the burning candles on the cake, and sort of like how every interpretation is just this is we were perfect together. There's no problems with us whatsoever. Yeah. You begin to see the little cracks coming in, and you get sort of like the introduction of the cops, which is you've got the lieutenant and the little what is he? He's not a ranger. He's a trooper
Yes.
Wagner, and then you get the Daniel Craig introduction, who basically when you just see him, he's just sat at the back, and occasionally when I'm not quite sure, was he punctuating lies or was he punctuating like what? I'm not quite sure. Every time that one of them says something, either at a turn or something, he presses the key on the piano next to him, and I thought it was quite funny.
It's a really humorous film, and that's another thing I really like about it. It's really cleverly written and it's really funny, but it's also a genuine mystery, and I didn't see the ending coming, to be honest. I did suspect that Chris Evans' character was probably not good. But I hadn't suspected the way it all turns out. And I'm not going to go into spoilers because I think people should watch it. It's a really interesting
to
movie.
Be fair, the whole family are
they're awful. All of them.
Degrees. They're all. I think the only one that isn't awful is Toni Collette's daughter. And she makes like a couple of bad decisions in the movie. So
I mean, we will get to Daniel Craig's superb performance in a moment, but I really love Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in this. She's horrible.
Jamie Lee Curtis, again, in recent couple of years, she's made a proper comeback.
She really has, yeah.
That had some really nice meaty roles recently, and it's so good to see her like get real things to do, and she's really good. She's kind of the matriarch of the family.
Yes.
is the oldest sister, isn't she? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
The oldest mentor, and she's married to Don Johnson, and they have this sort of like that. Chris Evans is their son, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
You get hang on a second.
That's okay. So we obviously this Harlan Thrombey, I think is his name. He's the owner of this mansion, and all of his family live there. On his 85th birthday, he is murdered, and the police believe it was suicide. But then it turns out that it's all to do with people wanting to inherit the wealth of the family. So all of the family members are absolutely awful people. Dreadful people. Jamie Lee Curtis particularly is superb. Sorry, Matt, I was just explaining the wider kind of plot as you were sort of taking a break there, just about the need for everyone to try and be in the will, and that it was all over the will, or seemingly all over the will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk about Daniel Craig, because I think this is probably my favorite performance of Daniel Craig. He's superb.
I think it took me a bit to get used to the accent he's doing.
I wasn't sure I liked it when I first heard it, but then within about 10 minutes, I was like, actually, this is great.
It's like weird Southern gentleman thing going on, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a definite choice. I mean,
it is. I thought it was just a hilarious film. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, like you said about the all the family, they all have their little quirks and their little their little reasons for wanting the money or not want, why they shouldn't have the money and things like that. And and of course the only character that's actually you're sympathetic is the Ana de Armas character, who is playing Martha.
She's like a maid, isn't she?
Yeah, she's Christopher Plummer's nurse.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Yes, of course. Yes, she's the nurse. So she was there when Harlan died.
A housekeeper, I should say. There's also the housekeeper, but yeah, she's there. She works so many hours a week, and she plays go with the old man, and she sorts his medicine out, and they seem to have a really nice relationship where he seems to tell her everything. And she also has this very big quirk, which is kind of integral to the plot, actually. And
it really is.
She can't lie. Every time she tries to lie, she's violently sick.
Yes. So she throws up any time she's lying, which is a superb tell.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard that as an actual thing before, but it's quite interesting.
I thought it was hilarious. It certainly makes for some really funny scenes.
It makes some brilliant little scenes where she's trying. In the initial interviews where he's asking about, certain assembly members, and
yes,
she sort of doesn't know whether to answer or not, and you can see the sort of decisions going through her head whether she should say it or not.
I really thought Ana de Armas was superb in this. And I loved her as Joy in Blade Runner 2049. This is the first film I've seen her in since then, I think.
It took me a while to realise what it was. I was thinking, I'm sure I recognised her or something, and I couldn't quite work out where it was I'd seen her. And then
it took me half the movie, if I'm honest.
Yeah. In the end, I had to look her up, but because she looks so different in this as well.
She does, yeah.
So very normal, as it were, as opposed to the Joy character.
But I really, really had a lot of fun with this little murder mystery. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, I mean, it's so beautifully set up. It's every character is well thought about. Every performance is fantastic.
I agree. There's not a weak performance in this film.
Not a weak performance in the movie. Every little twist is justified. I think. Even the end payoff, is I think really, really good.
I think it's superb.
It's nicely plotted. There's not a dull moment, which is really, really good. It shoots along at a really, really good pace.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it's annoyingly good.
Well, the thing is, like you said, Rian Johnson has got a good track record, until
Yeah,
you reach Star Wars, effectively. And it's a real shame
I think
that
the
he
thing.
didn't put this much time and effort and thought into character and world building, as he did in Knives Out in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I think we would have been in a much better situation, to be honest.
I mean, it makes me even more angry when you know that he himself has said that. Oh well, no, I wanted to subvert it. I wanted to do this, and I want.
Yeah.
And you sort of went into the whole system to ruin it, which doesn't strike me as a. That's not really playing the game, is it? It's just
No.
that's coming to the table with your own rules and going, yeah, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just I mean, for one thing, from a fan perspective, obviously you have a lot of fans that absolutely adore this franchise since the 70s, have adored this franchise and continue to support and love the franchise up until The Last Jedi. But also, even from a business perspective, I mean, this is Disney's cash cow, and you've just come in and effectively I mean, he's effectively ruined the franchise, didn't he? I mean, they're still making money, but they're not making anywhere near as much money as they once did off of Star Wars, or certainly what they hoped.
And I think they've burned through a lot of goodwill.
I think they have, yeah. Unfortunately,
they're at a point now where the only thing they've got going good for them is the Mandalorian. Well, and I guess the animated stuff as well.
The animated stuff's been great. The Mandalorian was superb. It just remains to be seen how many people are going to see the next Star Wars feature movie. I guess it'll depend who's helming it and whatever. But either way, he may not have done particularly well at all with Star Wars, but with Knives Out, with his own property,
stuff, yeah,
great film. So have you watched anything else?
I have. I watched The Hunt.
Oh, I wanted to see The Hunt. What is that like?
So basically, it was pulled at one point because of some shootings and things.
Yes.
So it didn't actually end up getting its cinema release. So it's only available. It's available at the moment on whatever it is you want to order it from. So it's a premium rental basically at the moment.
Yes, like much of the cinema releases are.
And it's basically 11 people wake up in the middle of nowhere, not knowing how they got there. And it turns out that they are deplorables.
Yes.
Who have been picked up by the left liberal elite for hunting purposes.
Yeah.
And it stars Betty Gilpin, who I think most people would probably know from Glow.
Yes.
She is absolutely brilliant in Glow. I really like her.
She is, yeah.
I think she's great in most of the things I've seen her in, and she's fantastic in this as well. You've got Hilary Swank. There's Ethan Suplee, who is the guy who plays My Name Is Earl's brother.
Yes.
You've got Emma Roberts and Amy Madigan, and the guy who was what is his name? Can't find it now. Doesn't matter anyway. It's got not a massive stellar cast, but all sort of people you go, oh, it's him from that and that from that and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
It's directed by Craig Zabel, who did The Cube.
I think The Cube is a very underrated film. I really like The Cube.
I think if you want a real brilliant sort of, tense movie. No, sorry, that's not. I'm looking. That's the. Sorry, I take that back. Actually, that director is the director of the movie that I saw after this one. So I'll talk about him later.
Oh, okay. Well, my comments on The Cube still stand for the next movie.
Yeah, this guy's done episodes of Westworld and The Leftovers, and he did Z for Zachariah.
Okay. Well, I thought season 1 of Westworld was superb. So
It's got worse as it's gone on. So
I've not watched it past season 1, but I hear it. Yeah, I hear it's gone downhill.
Half of season 2, and it's really disappointing.
That's a shame.
What I've heard of season 3, well, I think we can,
It's a shame because season 1 was extremely strong.
Yeah, I think some of the SJW politics got into it as it went along, and
right.
They started cutting down the male characters and just raising the two lead females. I think is what you have to start with, and I think, which is fine if that's the way you want to go, fine, but
it's not for you.
You're sacrificing really good characters and characterization for ideology, which is, fine. If that's what you want, then that's fine.
Well, that's a shame. So the Hunt, I'm getting almost Hard Target vibes from, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of got that sort of, the Hard Target, the game sort of stuff. It's got that sort of feel to it. So you've got the setup, and there are a few little surprises quite early, which I obviously don't want to ruin or anything, but there's some nice little sort of moments where you go, oh, okay, that's fine. It's got great little action pieces, and there's a fantastic fight scene at the end.
Right.
And overall, I really liked it. It was really enjoyable, and it's very funny. There's some real sort of like dark humor in it, which really appeals to me.
I'm a big fan of dark humor as well.
It's very satirical. But I think the two of the best things about it is, one, it makes a change for the people doing the hunting not to be the far right.
Yes, yeah.
It makes them to be the far left, which is, does make a change. But what I do like about it is it actually takes shots at both sides.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
It basically says they're both as bad as each other, to be fair.
Extreme in any direction, either direction is pretty bad, to be honest.
And it takes really some nice. I don't think it's quite as clever as I think it wants to be. It thinks it is, but
right.
Having said that, I enjoyed it. It sort of for the most part, it shocks along. It's a little bit of a dip in the middle.
Okay.
But apart from that, it picks up quite nicely, and there's some they've all got, because they're like, they're not given their names. They get given like they sort of like they're called what the people who put them there are. So you've got like Yoga Pants and shut the fuck up Gary and stuff like Vanilla Nice, Big Red. So you've got these sort of like names for these people, and there's a really nice sort of like little bits of setup stuff and little scenes that are sort of like come together quite nicely. But yeah, I think overall, if you want to see a sort of not the best movie you're going to watch, if you want an enjoyable one, whether it's worth the full, because it's a premium, it's like a tenner. So whether it's worth that, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
It might be better to sort of just wait a bit for it to come down in price. But if you really want to see something interesting and a little different, from what else is around at the moment, I think you can't go wrong. I mean, it's Betty Gilpin is fantastic as this sort of like she's clearly had training. She turns and it's like, oh well, she knows what she's doing, and she sort of like she just kind of gets on with it. Whereas quite a lot of the others like panic and stuff. She's sort of like, yeah, okay, this is the situation I'm in. I'm just going to get on with it.
Right.
And Hilary Swank, who there is an odd thing with Hilary Swank. It's it's her, right? It's like it's obvious it's Hilary Swank. But
right.
They sort of they spend their time sort of like showing her from behind and not quite seeing her until there's like a reveal.
How strange. Presumably her name's on the the poster.
Yeah, it's a really odd reveal that it's like, well, we know it, sir. Why have you got this sort of weird sort of...
It's an odd choice.
Dramatic reveal. I don't know whether there was some sort of change in...
Maybe there's a previous scene that would have made some sense there, but it does seem like an odd choice when your name's on the poster. It's not much of a surprise.
Yeah, she's really good as well, and there's a really good, a really great fight scene towards the end, which was, I think my only problem with it is sometimes it was slightly too close, which I think was probably because of they didn't want to show the stunt people, as it were. But overall, it's a really nice, really nicely done fight. And I think, overall, really enjoyed it. Whether it was worth the full price, not so sure. But
definitely worth watching at some point when the price comes down.
Yeah, when the price comes down, I think definitely watch it. I think it got a lot of flack for what it is, and I think a lot of people have misinterpreted what it is. But I like the fact that it doesn't actually take sides. If anything, it's on the side of the middle people, that get set on by everybody else.
I think any time that there's controversy like this over a film like this, a lot of the people complaining haven't probably even seen it. To be honest, they're just going off the trailer and they're like, "Oh, this is what this is. This is awful." Well, not necessarily. Maybe you should watch the whole thing and see what it's actually commenting on.
Yeah, it's got some. It does have some. It's very well made. For the majority of it races along quite well. So I mostly really liked it.
Great. Well, a film that I cannot recommend is Midway from 2019, directed by Roland Emmerich, and starring a superb cast, I would say. Ed Skerin, Patrick Wilson, Luke Evans, Aaron Eckhart, Nick Jonas, Dennis Quaid, Woody Harrelson. Cannot fault the cast of this film. Of course,
I remember when this came out, I was going to go and see it, actually, because...
The thing is, I have a soft spot for historical war films. So and the Battle of Midway obviously is a huge event in history. And obviously after the travesty that was Pearl Harbor, the movie, I thought, maybe because Roland Emmerich's done some great films before, I really enjoy Independence Day for what it is. He's very good at spectacle, right?
Yeah.
And he's a pretty competent director when he wants to be. When he wants to put together a scene, it will look good. So this film obviously follows the story of the Battle of Midway from kind of two perspectives. You get the aviator, who's Dick Best, played by Ed Skerin, and then you've also got the intelligence officer, who's trying to figure out what the Japanese are planning to do, and it loosely, obviously, it follows the story of the Battle of Midway, so can't really fault that. I'm sure there are some historical inaccuracies. There usually are. So obviously the broad strokes are fine, but the script is awful. The script is the most cliche-ridden nonsense. It really is, and it's a real shame, because I think the acting talent on hand, they're trying to carry it as best they could, but they took every cliche from the book of cliches, for war movie cliches, and just threw them in there. So despite everyone's best efforts, it doesn't really work.
We're talking Pearl Harbor levels of rubbish.
I would say in some places it was worse, to be honest.
Really, than Pearl Harbor?
There were moments where I was like, actually, this has moments that could be probably worse than Pearl Harbor. I mean, on the plus side, I would say obviously the dogfights look incredible. Obviously the latest effects and all of that kind of stuff. I would say another real big downside to this film, which I know a lot of films do this these days, but this film in particular, there were scenes that were, it was so clear that everything was shot on green screen, that it just is so distracting, because everything kind of doesn't quite wrap properly. Like light doesn't quite, it's never quite perfect, you know. I mean, I guess Marvel, when they're making their Avengers movies and stuff, they manage to get away with that. They spend all that time getting it right. But I think unless you get it perfect, a lot of scenes, it's certainly the attack on Pearl Harbor, which the film opens with, was the biggest offender. I was like, wow, this is really clearly all on green screen. And I guess to an extent you understand that, but it just looks very fake. A lot of this film looks very fake the whole way through.
Oh, wow.
It's very almost comic booky in its delivery. It's just a real mess, unfortunately, which is a shame. It is a shame because, like I said, the cast are great, and nothing against the cast. They're doing all they can. There's not an awful lot of characterization, and there's not an awful lot of character development going on in the film for them to really grasp at. So I can't really blame the cast. And like I said, the effects are great. If you just want to watch some dogfights, it's fantastic for that. But not a very good film, unfortunately.
Because I remember the Battle of Midway, the 70s movie, because that's got like Charlton
I think that's great.
Got James Coburn and Henry Fonda, I think's in it, and it's got Toshiro Mifune in it, which is always like, you know, always good. If you want to have a decent, you know, put some cred on your movie, put Toshiro Mifune in it.
Absolutely.
I remember that being quite long and a little dull, though.
I have fond memories of it, but I have not watched it. I think I've only watched it the once.
Yeah, I think I watched it once, like Sunday afternoon type thing.
Yeah, so I can't really say. I would be willing to bet good money that it's better than Midway, though.
Well, I imagine most of it would have been practical, so you would have at least had that.
Well, exactly, and also I think it was just better written from memory. So yeah, not terribly good. I mean, kind of expected from Roland Emmerich, but it was available to rent on Amazon for like £1 or something. It was on offer, so I was like, okay, fine. I was having a couple of beers yesterday. I thought, oh, I'll just watch that. It'll be something to pass the time. But now all it's really made me do is like, I just want to watch a good, you know, a good war film now. So I think that's what I'll be doing tonight.
Well, I mean, I think you can't go wrong with Saving Private Ryan. I think
no, Saving Private Ryan. I'm really tempted to go back and rewatch Memphis Belle, which I remember being kind of cliche as well back in the 90s. But I do have fond memories of that one, so I might go back and watch that one.
Yeah, I mean, I constantly catch Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, I love that film.
And Where Eagles Dare. But there always seems to, like, I think it's like, you know, some channel always seems to be
heavy rotation. Yeah,
I love those things. I think it's those sort of you just sort of like click on it at any point during the movie and just go, oh yeah, okay, I'm fine now. I'll just sit and watch this for the next half an hour or whatever.
Yeah. I must admit, if I saw them on TV, I would end up just sat in front of the TV watching them. But yeah, so cannot recommend Midway, but you've piqued my interest with this writer of The Cube. What film was this?
So I watched In the Tall Grass.
Oh, I've seen In the Tall Grass. I watched that a while ago on Netflix, and I'd forgotten that I'd watched it. I don't think I ever reviewed it. So, what did you make of In the Tall Grass?
So it's based on a
King novel, isn't it?
And his son also wrote it. It's a novella, so it's obviously a shortish story, and it's basically about a brother and sister who are traveling across states. She's pregnant and she's about to give up her baby.
Yes.
And they pull over because she's nauseous, and they're next to this old dilapidated church, and it's just field of what seems like endless grass. Yes. And while they're there, they hear a kid's voice calling for help. And they basically end up going to help the kid, and they become lost in the tall grass. And there's basically it's like almost like an endless loop where
it's like a Bermuda Triangle of grass that they can never escape from. Yeah.
So it's Vincent Natali, who is the director of The Cube, and he also did Splice as well, which I really, really liked.
I still haven't seen Splice. I need to see that.
I'm sure one of the things has got it. I would recommend Splice.
I think they do, because I'm sure I saw it the other day and kind of skipped past it, but I will go back and check that out on your recommendation, because I did want to watch Splice.
I really like it. It's really nice stuff in it. So you've got the sort of like, you know, the weird Lost in the Grass loop stuff, and other characters turn up. So you've got Patrick Wilson, who is the father of the kid that's missing, and you've got the sort of the boyfriend eventually turns up, and there's clearly some sort of time thing going on, because he's got there and sort of like looking for her, and he says to her, you know, why are you here? How did you get here? And he's like, well, you've been missing for months. You never arrived at your destination, so I've come looking for you. And of course, they all become trapped in this sort of, you know, and in the center of this, well, you presume in the center, in what may be the center, is there's this big black rock.
Yes, which we assume is what's causing everything around it to be the way it is. Yeah.
The church is called, I think, the Church of the Black Rock of Redemption, I think is
That's right. Yeah, it was something like that. It was a while ago that I watched this.
Yeah, but, and the rock's got sort of like little sort of like stick figure carvings on it and stuff, and it's, you know, clearly ancient, and it's your kind of standard King sort of stuff going on. You've got lots.
It is very Stephen King, isn't it?
Yeah, he's clearly got a thing about being lost in tall grass.
He seems to he seems to definitely he has his themes, and this is one of them.
Yeah. The majority, most of the performances were okay.
I thought so.
Patrick Wilson's pretty much always great. And Lesaya de Oliveira, who is the sort of the mother to be. Interestingly, I think I've only seen her in one other thing, and that was Lock and Key, where she plays the bad guy. And this is a completely different role from that, which I thought was quite nice. It's interesting to see her as because I think she's like a model.
Oh, really?
Normally, yeah, I think she's a model, and seeing her in this, it's like, wow, she looks entirely different. That was quite nice to see her in sort of almost play against type. I think it seemed to be.
Yeah.
It starts off well.
Yes, I must admit, I thought it kind of fell apart myself too.
Yeah, it's got a nice setup. It you know, goes on, and I think it all depends on your tolerance for lost in the grass. You know, lost in a maze type thing.
Lost in a maze, trapped in a room, one location. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, some of the CG is clearly the budget was very, very low.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's you know, it's only one location. But it gets a little tedious towards the middle. It kind of picks up towards the end when things start, you know, kicking off and Patrick Wilson takes a bit of a turn.
Yes.
And you get some sort of like nice little interactions. So it did leave me with a few questions at the end.
Yeah.
On how exactly the time angle worked.
They never really explained it from memory.
No.
It just kind of, which I guess was probably intentional. It came across a little lazy to me. I kind of wanted to know a little more. There's
obviously a lot of interesting sort of religious themes.
Yes.
Obviously about redemption. You know, it's in the title of the church and stuff. And this sort of this what this rock is doing to them, as it were.
Mm.
But at the end, I was thinking, well, if they've changed that, does that mean everything else has changed, or does that mean that person's no longer there, or does that mean that person's saved?
Yeah. We will never know.
I'm not quite sure, because it sort of leaves you with that sort of. And the most annoying thing for me is Patrick Wilson sings the Midnight Special, and now that bloody song has been stuck in my head for ages, and I can't get the bloody thing out of my head. That's what's left me with the most. It's left me with a sense of what's going on there, and bloody midnight special.
Yeah, well, it's not a terrible film. It's not a terrible film, but like you, I was I almost got to the point where I could have quit halfway through.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I'm glad I watched it, and it's well worth a watch. I mean, it's on Netflix if you want to watch it, but it does certainly drag in the middle, and it has got some unresolved plot issues. I'd be interested to see what a comparison between that and the book, because I've not read the book or short story, whatever it was.
I mean, I think it depends on two things. I think your tolerance for that sort of lost in the stuff, loopy type things, and King. I think because this is a full on, feels like a full on Stephen King, book with many of his sort of themes and little.
It really does.
It's interesting. So I mean, it's not a terrible film, but it's not great either. I mean, if you want to pass like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, I think it's quite short.
Yeah, I think it's about an hour 40. So. If you want to see something, it's not massively horrific, it's not massively horror, but it is just horror enough.
Yeah.
And it's for the majority it keeps going, but there is a bit of a dip in the middle.
Definitely. But yeah, it is worth a watch, like you said, and it is available on Netflix for free. So, well, not for free, but if you're paying for Netflix.
Right, you got Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. So, have you seen anything else, or is that pretty much where you are?
Mostly it really for sort of like decent movies. I've been watching a lot of rubbish telly and
oh, do you know I started watching Berserk 2016 and I do not like it. I don't like it at all.
No.
That awful CGI animation, it's just so distracting. I was not impressed at all. So I watched about 2 episodes of it and then since then, this week, I've been watching 1997 Berserk because I love it. And, I just kind of wanted to go back to that. So yeah, I rewatched Berserk, and
I love the other one. The 90s one is great.
Yeah, the 90s one is a masterpiece, and I just love. Obviously, that story, the manga continues past the end of the 97 Berserk story, but I just love how dark and horrendous that ends. It's just like a descent into horror. That series. It just gets like, it starts off quite bright and it just becomes worse and worse and worse. When Guts joins the band of the Hawk and it's kind of all quite jolly and they're quite like, adventurous. And then from there, it just takes this horrendously dark turn. And then by the end, it's just horrific. I love Berserk. And I was really hoping, because the 2016 stuff seems to pick up at the end of that. So it kind of continues the story. Because I missed, there was another adaptation, which I think just retread 1997's Berserk. And I think that was in the early 2000s. So this is kind of a sequel to that. But yeah, just that animation. I'm really not a fan of a lot of modern day animation. And the CGI stuff is my least favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately it didn't sit well with me. But Berserk from 1997, I highly recommend.
I think that's the problem with a lot of the CG animation stuff, is it mostly comes across as very bland. And
it does. Everything looks the same. I could be watching any show.
Very sort of soulless. No sort of like, doesn't look like any love's been put into it. I think it's a problem with a lot of that.
And all the characters look very similar as well. You could just swap characters out.
Yeah, when you look at something like the Godzilla one, however, the Godzilla ones were amazing.
When it's done well, it's done well. It's not my preference, but when it's done well, I agree. It can be great. But yeah, this was not one of those times, unfortunately. On
a similar sort of thing, I don't remember whether last time, did I discuss Drifting Dragons?
No.
So, okay, so yeah, I have watched, a CG animation on Netflix. It's one of their originals called Drifting Dragons.
Right.
And it's kind of, as soon as I saw, when it came onto the sort of thing, as soon as I saw what it was like, oh, well, I'm totally watching that. Because it's about an airship crew.
Okay.
Who hunt dragons.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
And it's very interesting. I really, really enjoyed it. It's an odd fish, though, because the animation, for the most part, is okay. It's not great. It's like you said. At times it's typical CG stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel like there was a little more love in this one.
Okay.
I think it was better than average CG animation.
Right.
But the weird thing about it is it feels like an analogy for whaling.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because every episode is not only about the particular dragon they're hunting, it's also about what they eat and how they cook it and what parts of the dragon they use for the food. So like each episode is got like the title is like a dragon and a dish.
Right.
So if you're a vegetarian or you don't like food or in that sort of that kind of way or a bit squeamish about where your food comes from, really don't watch this series.
Right.
Because they go full on like down to the butchering and how they use the meat, and literally they go through cooking like cutlets and different broths and stuff, and it's a very sort of slow moving. There are no great battles or anything. There are no sort of like we have to get to this place to do this and this. It's more sort of like just almost like the everyday lives of a crew on a ship. And for that, I really liked it.
It's an interesting concept. I kind of like the concept, to be honest.
Yeah, there were some of the characters are a bit complete anime. You've got your hero who is kicks ass but does nothing but eat, and you've got another hero who sort of drinks too much and and nothing. So it's very cliched. But having said that, if you want to see a series that's sort of like a little different from all the other anime stuff and is a bit more, I guess, gentle on the action but sort of more brutal on the food, then yeah, this is for you. I mostly enjoyed it. It's a very odd fish though, because I mean
it sounds interesting.
The Japanese like their food. There's a lot of animation.
They do.
I think almost every Ghibli movie has them cooking at some point.
Yeah.
So there's a very big sort of thing of foodie. They're a very big foodie culture, and this is really does show that sort of love of food. But as I said, if you don't I've seen some of the reviews and people are genuinely disgusted and think that it's a sort of this is pro whaling and pro sort of and I'm not sure it's pro whaling. I mean,
no, it sounds like it might be anti whaling, to be honest.
Showing it kind of is, I suppose, to a certain degree. But yeah, if you want something that's a little different, then yeah, give it a go. It was enjoyable enough.
It sounds quite fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. So that was what was it? Hunting Dragons? Did you say?
Drifting Dragons. It's called. It's a Netflix original.
Oh, well, there we go. Netflix originals have been getting better and better lately, I think.
Yeah, I think they seem to be putting a lot more sort of thought into what they've been making, and
they've really hit their stride.
I think some of their movies maybe not so much, but
well, I really loved Extraction, as we discussed last week. That was really good.
It's fantastic. They've got that Mark Wahlberg one, and I don't like Mark Wahlberg, and I've seen the trailers, and I'm thinking, oh, can I put up with Mark Wahlberg for an hour and a half?
It's I forget the name of it actually, but I have seen it. It was quite fun.
Yeah.
It's just like a fun buddy cop kind of deal.
Right.
It's quite run of the mill, but it's got its moments. It's very easy to watch. Let's put it that way. But it is very much Marky Mark.
Yeah, I think I'll miss it then.
Is Mark Wahlberg playing that?
Playing Mark Wahlberg.
You know, that character that he always plays. It's that one. Because you know, in some movies he's obviously playing different characters, but he is very much playing that stereotypical Mark Wahlberg character in this. So
yeah, well, okay, well, I'll definitely give that one a miss then.
So a few recommendations anyway, is that everything you've seen lately?
Anything, mostly stuff worth talking about. Yeah. I mean,
so there is.
Yeah, it's just mostly rubbish TV, really, just keeping me going.
Just keeping you sane. Well, there is a little news. We have Star Trek Strange New Worlds announced. So we, as I suspected long ago, we're going to get the Pike, Spock, and Number One spin-off from Discovery.
Well, I think that seems to me, even though I haven't seen the later Discoveries, it seems to me that almost everybody who likes Star Trek liked those characters and liked that aspect of.
I think, yeah, I would say that in terms of Discovery Season 2, I enjoyed Discovery Season 2 despite its problems. But looking back on it, the main reason I like it is Anson Mount's Pike, Ethan Peck, his Spock, and Rebecca Romijn, her Number One. They were amazing, and they really carried Season 2 for me. So I'm cautiously optimistic about them doing this. I hope they do it well.
I'm at the point where I don't really care. I'm probably not.
Oh, I know. It's not going to bother me if it's awful. Let's put it that way.
I think the thing is that they've already, I think, you know, they're looking to cast Kirk, aren't they?
There is rumors of that. Most shockingly, though, they said positive. They were talking about positivity in the trailer. Well, so I'm like, have they changed their minds? Have they realized that it's not a good way to go with Star Trek? Are they U-turning this?
Yeah, I think maybe they've realized that the dystopian stuff really doesn't fucking work for Star Trek.
It sounds like they were like, oh, it's going to be positive. It's going to be more episodic rather than this, story arc. So I don't know. Maybe they've learnt. Who knows?
Well, I think having a massive story arc isn't a problem.
No, absolutely not. But I think it should be accessible to people coming in as well.
Yeah, I think they would have been better to work up to it.
Yeah.
Introduce the characters first and then work up to
it. I always think that the best approaches, or the approaches that work best for me, are shows like Babylon 5 or shows like the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, where you've got the ongoing narrative, but I can watch an episode and be like, okay, but this episode, while it has that going on, it's about this.
I think that the problem is that the people that when they made Discovery, they wanted to make it like Battlestar.
They really did, but the Battlestar universe does not work for Star Trek at all. It's not what Star Trek is.
Absolutely not. And they just proved that they were completely wrong with that one. I mean, for me, it was bad enough when they recast the Star Trek, the original crew anyway. I think for me, those actors inhabit those characters so much that I think it's really hard to see other actors playing it. And now they've done it once. And it's like, oh, come on, because it didn't really work the last time, and
I didn't think it did, and I must admit, I actually thought that Ethan Peck's Spock was actually really good. I preferred it. Certainly preferred it to the previous performances in the movies, but it's still different. These performances are still very different to the characters that were established in the original series. They just are.
I think I guess I know I have to take it as this is not that universe. This is another universe. It's different, in versions of those characters. And I have real trouble with that. I can do it with almost anything else but this. For some, I'm just so attached to the original series characters that it's really hard for me to not just keep going. Oh God, because I know this Spock, isn't he like dyslexic and stuff, and he doesn't really know how to be a Vulcan. It's like, really?
He's supposedly dyslexic, but it never really comes up. They kind of mention it. They mention it only to say that Michael basically helped him through that, and then it's like pretty much forgotten. Actually, no, sorry, I say that. There is a moment where they were like, oh yeah, there is a moment in season 2 where it is because of his dyslexia that he's able to understand something that no one else could have, basically. So they do put it into the story, but it doesn't really serve much purpose.
Right.
It was mostly there to say, thank you, Michael Burnham, you helped me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been Spock without you.
Exactly. That's my main issue with all that. Is that, Spock wouldn't have been Spock without the help of this woman.
And they never mention Cybok either.
I mean, that's not kind of unusual. They never really mentioned him they never mentioned him in the original series.
Well, that's true. That's true. But when you have a show with someone claiming to be Spock's sister, you would, and you see them as kids, you would think it would come into play somewhere that they would have to mention it. That he's got a brother as well.
Why they just chose to sort of ignore Cybok. What's that? But fair enough.
Either way, I'm
happy that they're gonna do a slightly more upbeat, I guess, or certainly less dystopian.
And I'm glad that that these cast members get the chance to do this, because I think they were very good in the roles they were cast in.
I think that the thing for Pike is that because I forget the guy's bloody name now.
The original actor.
He only played him once.
It's a lot easier to recast that, yeah.
And somebody else played him in the subsequent episodes where he was in the sort of thing.
And the same with number 1. She only turns up. That character, obviously the actress, turns up many times in Star Trek, but that character only showed up in the pilot as well.
So you don't have the sort of attachment to those characters that I do for the original characters. So I think you can interpret those characters a little more freely.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
But I'm not sure I'm going to bother.
I'll probably watch it.
I'm kind of waiting for something to happen with the company, because it looks like maybe Netflix is going to buy CBS and Paramount.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Be interesting. I mean, hopefully, if they do, they can finally get fucking rid of all the Kurtzman shit and maybe start again.
It'll be interesting, won't it? I wouldn't be surprised if they were looking to buy them, because I think Netflix have seen that they need to expand now that Disney Plus is here, and a bunch of other stuff.
They get an actual studio like Paramount, and that's a massive win for them.
Oh yeah, the amount of films and stuff that they have access to would be tremendous.
Yeah, that also gives them this, the same sort of position that Disney's in with Fox.
It really does, yeah.
They'll have all these properties that they can then, develop into either series or further movies.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure. I mean, that obviously CBS and Paramount are in serious financial trouble right now. They've made some sort of like decisions that didn't work out for them.
Well, and this current situation with lockdowns everywhere and being unable to work is going to hurt them even further.
Yeah, it really has. And I think if Netflix doesn't probably buy them, Amazon or one of the other companies.
Certainly someone will.
Will snap them up.
Feels like Netflix would be a good fit for them, but I guess we will see.
Yeah. I think it feels like they probably, for good or ill, they probably fit better than I think some of the others would.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. but I'm kind of hopeful that they can finally get rid of the Alex Kurtzman stuff and move away from that.
It sounds like they're certainly moving in a positive direction anyway, from what they're saying. So whether that's
with the Picard stuff, I think I'm not sure I'm going to bother with the second season.
I will probably watch episode 1 of season 2, and if it's not dramatically better, I'm just no.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't impressed with season 1, and to be honest, it's one of those things where I finished it and I was like, okay, there was some okay bits in there, but the longer I'm away from it and the more I think about it, the more I dislike it.
Yeah, I just disliked it overall. There was far the bad stuff way outweighed the good stuff in that series.
Sure. But yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens with Star Trek going forward, both on from a company perspective and also from this new series, which may not even happen if the buyout happens. So
if the buyout happens, it might all be up in the air.
Yeah,
because I think all the previous stuff that they've been like, they keep mentioning the what is it, the secret organization one that oh man, my brain's gone.
Section 31.
Yes, Section 31. Yeah. They keep sort of saying the Section 31 thing is happening. It's we are doing it. And it's like, no, you're not.
I don't think they are, because they've been talking about that long before they started talking about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, or because there were rumors of a Pike series, but that came way after the Section 31 stuff.
Because I think that was going to be the Giorgio series, wasn't it? It was going to be the mirror universe Giorgio.
Yeah, and I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it by now, or at least announced it by now.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, but
we will.
Yeah.
Is there any other news or anything else that you've got? I think I'm pretty much out here.
So George Miller has been talking about the Furiosa prequel.
Yes. Sorry, I do recall some of that. So looking to cast someone in their 20s, I believe.
Yeah. So it looks like the person they're most interested in, whether it happens or not, is Anya Taylor-Joy.
Okay, that's not a terrible choice.
Fantastic. Anya I've never seen her give a bad performance. So
no, absolutely. And it would be ridiculous to expect Charlize Theron to play a younger version of herself. Well, I just don't see that really working, to be honest.
Miller said that if you look at The Irishman and their de-aging stuff.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of uncanny valley in it, and he said he doesn't think that it's up to the task of de-aging well enough.
No.
So he would rather, recast a younger actress for a prequel than try the de-aging stuff. The thing is I'm not sure about a prequel anyway.
I would rather they continue the story.
Exactly, sure. Seeing how she lost her arm might be interesting, and seeing
that's
how
isn't it? That's the only thing that movie's really got. I've no interest in the was it the Greenfields or wherever they lived. I've no real interest in that, to be honest. I would prefer personally that they did another Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to do that, and if they are going to focus on Furiosa, I'd prefer them to do a sequel and have Charlize Theron.
Sequel I think would be much.
Because you can always do a flashback to show her how she loses her arm if that's all you're interested in.
Sure.
But I think with that, it's like seeing how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. I think the imagination is better than, seeing it.
I think the good thing about that one is because I think George Lucas had kind of told us what had happened to him, so fans kind of knew.
Your imagination went crazy.
Yeah, exactly. We knew that lava was involved, and and there was a duel and stuff. And when it came to the actual thing itself, it was okay. It was
all right.
But,
it was never going to match what you had in your mind. No, I think it's the same way with Furiosa. I just kind of think I like not knowing how she lost her arm. It's kind of,
I mean, the other thing is, I guess with the would they still have Immortan Joe, and would he be played by the same actor?
I guess he could be played by the same actor. He is very old, that guy.
Well,
I think.
That's the problem, isn't it?
It'd be very easy to recast him though when he wears the mask and all that kind of stuff. He could voice him if nothing else.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. I would still be on board. I'd still watch.
Absolutely, I'm cautiously optimistic.
You know, it's a Miller picture, and I'm in that world. I'd still be interested. And like I said, Anya Taylor-Joy, if they do get her,
she's superb. Yeah,
fantastic. I can't recommend her movies enough. I mean, have you seen Thoroughbreds?
No, I haven't. No.
On one of the streaming sites, I recommend that. That's really good. She's fantastic in that, and obviously she's amazing in The Witch.
Oh yes, one of my favorite horror movies of the last decade.
Yeah, I think that's become a contender for. That's made it to my top 10 list now on horror movies. So
has it? Wow. It's actually, if I think about it, it's probably close for me. It's up there.
That good, I think.
Tremendous film.
I'd be happy for her to do that. But as I said, I'd much rather see a sequel.
Yeah, me too. I think move the narrative forward, don't go back. I'm not a big fan of prequels as a general rule, anyway. But I will certainly give it a watch because I thought Fury Road was a masterpiece. So
yeah, absolutely.
Happy to dive back into that world in any form, really. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
The continuing struggle to see New Mutants.
Oh no, is that still around?
It's now apparently got a 28th of August release in the States. Anyway,
are they hoping for a cinema release?
I think they are. Yeah. This poor movie has been put back and put back and put back. And the thing is I still really want to see it.
I honestly thought they were just going to chuck it on a streaming site.
I don't know why they didn't do that.
To be honest, I mean, the thing is as well, even if the cinemas are back open in August, I'd imagine they're going to be restricted down to where they probably would have made more money if they just had it at home. Because honestly, if they chucked it, I probably won't see it in the cinema, to be honest.
No.
But if it was on streaming today, I'd probably watch it tonight. They'd have my money.
I would have totally seen it by now. I think this was the perfect movie for them to put on the lockdown release.
I think a lot of them were, to be honest. And yeah, this one in particular, because people have waited so long for this now.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's lost a lot of goodwill over its sort of gestation and stuff. But it's an odd thing in that it now no longer is part of a world that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's part of nothing. It's like an echo of what once was.
Exactly. It's like a really weird sort of little bubble universe of its own at the moment.
Bizarre. And I will always remember New Mutants as the movie that every time I went to the cinema with my girlfriend, she would look at me and go, "Has that not come out yet?" And I'd be like, "No." Years later, it's still there. I think we probably saw a trailer for this movie. The first time we went on a date to see a movie together, we probably saw a trailer for New Mutants, and it's still not out.
Brilliant. The thing is, I have a lot of love for the New Mutants because those New Mutants comics are some of the best that Marvel's ever done.
I never really read New Mutants, so I'm kind of outside of that.
Really dark stuff in those New Mutants. And the initial trailer for this was full on horror.
Well, this is the thing because I have over the years become tired of superheroes, and my girlfriend has zero interest. But because that first trailer was basically a horror movie, we were both like, "Oh,
absolutely!" It's like, guys, there's something new and interesting. Yeah, let's go for it. And
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of state it's actually in when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a sort of a casualty of the Disney Fox thing. I mean,
Oh, for sure. I mean, but it was getting messed around way before that.
It was, and it really didn't help.
No, no.
But it ended up being completely sort of sidelined and put back so that it was just now no longer part of anything. I mean, we still don't really know what Marvel's going to do with its mutants. There are hints and things at what they're going to do, but nothing solid, I think, has come out yet.
No, I think it's a given that we're going to have the X-Men pretty soon and Wolverine for sure. I wonder if they'll start with Fantastic Four, to be honest.
I think they might do.
Purely because it was done so poorly the last time around, and Mr. Fantastic is one of those massive Marvel characters that they can kind of have in place of Tony Stark. It's like another, obviously we've got Doctor Strange standing in at the moment, but I think Mr. Fantastic kind of fits that role really well as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of the Fantastic Four, but
me either. I always remember the cartoon. That's about all I really ever dealt with. It was always the Fantastic Four were always those characters who turned up in other people's stuff. So I'd be reading like comics, like X-Men comics, and the Fantastic Four would turn up, and I'd be like, okay. So that's my only real viewing of them was them turning up in other people's comics and the cartoon.
Technology sort of involved. They'd always go and see Reed Richards.
Yeah.
you sort of had that, and I think they are considered the first family of Marvel, aren't they? And
I would say it'd be interesting if they do that.
So they kind of do have an obligation to sort of treat them well, I think.
Absolutely.
Which they didn't do with the last one, which I still haven't seen, but I've not heard anything good about.
Oh, I saw it eventually.
Yeah, I remember your review. Yeah, it's just a complete cock-up.
To be honest, though, that one again, and I don't know, but that one again feels almost like a New Mutant situation, because the intent would seem, when you're watching it, the intent would seem that they were going down like a Cronenberg-y, real dark path, and they just, it's almost like they had their teeth removed at the last moment,
What? It was the guy who did Chronicle, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I quite like Chronicle. I thought it was quite a good film.
He's not a comic book fan. He never read like Fantastic Four or anything like that. And I think they chose the wrong person to direct it, and they chose, the wrong idea. I think that I personally, because I don't have a great attachment to those characters, I was fine with the idea that they do body horror.
Me too.
Because I thought it's a fun idea. But if you love those characters, then that's just abhorrent.
They're killing the characters.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was a very poor choice.
It was. I would say that they've never really done Fantastic Four justice on screen. So it'd be interesting if they do. If they go for the family aspect and actually really push that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But yeah, I can't say I have much interest. I would imagine Fantastic Four first, and then probably they'll do Wolverine, and then they'll do the X-Men.
I think I'm not sure about the Wolverine thing, because I think that's going to be one of their biggest problems, is the Wolverine character.
I think they'll just cast someone that everyone loves, and it'll be fine.
It's going to be, but it's going to
I could just imagine them somehow, they'll just be like, right, I don't know, Keanu Reeves or someone, and everyone will be like, okay, cool. They'll just pick someone big enough, and they'll just be like, fine.
Keanu Reeves has been mentioned.
I don't think he's got the voice.
I really wouldn't want to see Keanu Reeves as Wolverine. I don't. As much as I love Keanu Reeves, he is not right for that character at all.
No, and I think they need to get some. To be honest, I mean, it's kind of ironic because, in Hugh Jackman's final movie as Wolverine, he was pretty much the age that Wolverine should have been the whole way along. But the reality is that if you want someone who's going to play the character going forward, you really do need someone younger, to be honest. Like Hugh Jackman was. I mean, Hugh Jackman put in longer than anyone has on any comic book character, to my mind.
And kind of so inhabited that character that I think that's going to be the main problem with recasting him, is that he inhabited that character for like what, 20 years or something.
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle, but I'm sure they're going to do it. There's too much money in it for them not to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And let's face it, it's not going to be anywhere near as big of a problem as they're going to have when they try to recast Iron Man.
Yeah, I don't think they should. Or at least if they're going to, wait until I'm dead. Just, give it 20 years or something. Really, don't recast Iron Man anytime soon. That would be awful.
Yeah, I can see it happening eventually, but
yeah.
In any case, I think that's about it.
There's Neil Gaiman has done a audio book for the first 3 Sandman graphics.
Oh, cool. Is that available now?
I'm not sure it's available yet. No, it's pre-order at the moment. 15th of July it's available for. It's got him as the narrator. James McAvoy as Morpheus.
Nice.
Riz Ahmed as the Corinthian. You've got Kat Dennings as Death. Taron Egerton as Constantine. Got Andy Serkis as Matthew. And Michael Sheen's playing Lucifer. So it's got a
great cast.
Really
when is that releasing?
And that's 15th.
Wow. Well, I will definitely be checking that one out. That sounds great.
Because also, Netflix are doing a series as well. So it's interesting to see how that one will turn out.
Yeah. Great. Well, in any case, we will be back next week, hopefully with some new films that we will have watched in the meantime. It's getting slim pickings now. Might have to just go back to older films.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's been great. I shall catch you soon.
Absolutely. Ta-da.
Cheers. Cool, man. That was great.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to get some food, I think.
That sounds good.
Have a good day. I may, I'm tempted to watch The Hunt now, but I think you're right. Maybe I'll wait and get it when it's cheap.
Well, like I said, it's a premium at the moment, so it's better to wait for it to, come in.
Yeah.
If it's available, watch Thoroughbreds. It's really good.
I will, actually. I'll check that out later. But, yeah. Cheers, man. I shall catch you soon.
Cheers, man.